Hi, I'm Fahlyn. I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Val.
I'm extremely nervous, so forgive me if my voice shakes or... Okay, the condensed form of what brought me here. My sobriety date is September 1st, 2012. I have a sponsor, and starting at the beginning, my family was very chaotic. I was born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida, to a very young mother, so I spent a lot of time with other family members. It was nothing for me to spend a week or two with an aunt or an uncle, friends, and I learned very quickly at a young age, because they were all very different, to adapt to the really religious people that I was staying with, or the people that partied, or, I could go into any situation and be able to act the part, or act accordingly. And we moved around a lot. I lived in the southmost of my young life. Then we moved to Michigan and away from all of my family, which was really, really difficult for me. And my mother went away and lived in Japan for a year. So I was with these relatives that I had no idea, I didn't know them really. And that's when a lot of the isms, I guess, started to come out. I started to lie a lot, run away. I was young, 7, 8. So my home life was really chaotic. I didn't really do well in school. I mean, I wasn't a bad student. My grades weren't bad. I just never went. I was never there. I was never forced to go. I just never, if I would have shown up and paid attention, I probably would have done well. But I was never really forced to go. I didn't have a whole lot of people that could make me do or that I would listen to. I kind of did whatever I wanted from a very young age. I moved out when I was 15. To live with a boyfriend, and of course that went bad. Moved back. I was in and out of my mother's, house, home. Still am actually. I still go. That's when I call home now when I leave the Bethany House. But I don't remember my first drink. I know I took sips here and there at parties when I was real little, but I remember the night, the first time I ever blacked out. I was 12. It was the summer of my 13th birthday, and I hung out with the kids that drank and that partied because they were. I liked to do that one, and I could have the confidence that alcohol gave me or drugs gave me. Those were the people that I just seemed to fit in the best with, and that was pretty much my drinking. I was a blackout drinker from the beginning. I drank to get drunk. There was no other reason to drink, in my opinion. Drinking was still fun for me, up through my 20s. Geographical cures, when I hear that, I'm the poster child. I moved around so much. I always thought that if I lived on this coast or lived in this city or lived in this country, part of the country, or with this guy or this family member, that it would fill that hole I was constantly trying to fill. It would make me... it would bring upon that change that I was so seeking, and then using alcohol to fill the hole. I never felt like I fit in, like many of us say, like I didn't get the manual. I never knew how to act, how to feel. So my early 20s, I was living in Tennessee, and that's when a lot of the consequences of my drinking, I started to get physical. I had several accidents, bad accidents, and at no point, when I got sober this time, I realized when I still tell those stories sometimes, I still defend the fact that it wasn't alcohol that got me there. It was the girl wasn't paying attention. I had on flip-flops. The car swerved in front of me. I still tend to tell the stories that, I was drunk. And I'd been up for, 12 hours drinking, and that's why I wrecked my car. So I started to have a lot of consequences from my drinking. I got several DUIs. I got 3 within 1 year, and yet I still did not feel like alcohol was the problem. I still felt like there was something that I could do, somewhere I could move to, some guy that I could be with that I could still continue to drink successfully. It was just my location or whoever I was around. That's why I couldn't drink successfully. This went on for years. I started to lose support of my family slowly. I was raised in the school of thought that you just pull yourself up by your bootstraps and you keep going. And if something bad happens, you just keep moving forward. We didn't stop and try and figure it out. It was just somebody would always be there for me to pick up the pieces. We'd fix it and then move on, and then I'd do it again. And then those time frames, and when I was creating chaos and just massive chaos in my family's life and my life, started to become shorter and shorter. And let's see. In my late 20s, due to an accident from drinking, I had to come back to the Carolinas to live with my mother. And at that point, I pulled myself together and I got another good job. And, at this point, I was drinking before work, on my lunch break. I had to drink every day. And it started to lose its fun. It was more of I had to do it rather than let's go out and party. And then I got the brilliant idea that getting married and having a child would fill that hole. And that's what I decided that I was going to do. And so I got married. He just happened to be in the right place at the right time. We got together. He knew of my drinking. He knew how I drank. He drank with me that way. He's definitely not one of us. But in quick succession, we got married. I got pregnant, and when it got bad is when I realized that nothing, not even a child, could make me quit drinking. I couldn't stop. When, I was pregnant, I drank, and I would have to pick her up from daycare and go and drink before I got home so he wouldn't know, and that's when I started to get angry, and I started to get mad. And, of course, the relationship fell apart because he tried to get me to stop, and I just wouldn't. I started hiding it, doing it all behind his back. And he just up and left one day. And so I went to AA because I knew that's what the judge was going to tell me I had to do. I knew that I needed help at this point. I knew that I had no power over it, that I could not stop on my own. I tried unsuccessfully, and nothing had worked. So I started going to AA. I got a sponsor. I had lost custody of my daughter, and was doing all of the right things. I was attempting to work the steps. I was living with my parents. I started to get all the material things back. I got my license back, a car back. I got a great job. The judge gave me some time with my daughter. Everything was going great. And I relapsed. And what I think now, whether there's 100 different reasons, but at that point, everybody kept telling me that I needed to find a higher power, and it was just an absolute must. And they told me the doorknob. I could use the doorknob. I could use the fellowship, any of those things. And I kind of just stopped right there. I stopped at the doorknob. I didn't try to progress in having a relationship with a higher power. And I ended up relapsing, going back to treatment, and I ended up coming to the Bethany House. And I was going to come to the Bethany House for 3 months and be on my merry way and go and do my own thing. And I was told to pray about it. And I ended up there, and I am so grateful, so incredibly grateful for the house, the program, and this fellowship. This time around, I knew in my heart that I was beaten. I was definitely beaten. Nothing I had tried on my own free will I'd gotten a different result. When my sponsor and I got to step 3, I don't even really remember if I had a relationship with a higher power at that time, if I even understood it. I mean, I understood the words, but all I knew was that that's what I hadn't done the first time and around. And I knew that listening to you guys talk, that that your higher power was the most important thing to you, and that that it would save my life if I continued to work the steps and be willing to continue with the steps. Today, life is pretty good. I get to see my daughter again today, actually this weekend, and I work with my sponsor at least once a week. We come to meetings. Sometimes I really don't want to, but I'm much more involved, like Sarah said, than I was before. I wasn't involved before. It was just, a meeting was more of a social event to me before. Now I know that this is going to save my life. And it is my life today. Coming to meetings, getting to know you people, getting involved, and hopefully one day being able to work with someone else and sponsor myself and to be able to carry the message. And I feel like I'm rambling now, so that's it. Thank you.